We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Welcome. Welcome to the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Ladies and gentlemen in the PATC community, do not be afraid to be a legend. In your comments or in your phone calls later in the show, we got a lot to get to tonight. Lots to get to tonight. A restraining order has been granted against the PAC-12, the Pac-10, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be going over that at the start of the show. We're going to go through the 8 games that we're going to be selecting against the spread. Either way, we're not going to do it tonight. It's only Monday night. But I'm going to give you the 8 games that we're going to be talking about on Tuesday and Wednesday. Of course, we're going to be talking about all the games, but these are the games we're going to make our selection. Greg the Heater, your host, is now 11-9. 11-9 in the PATC community, which is you all who decides your selections by votes, is 7-13. We're going to be looking at possibly doing the picks tomorrow. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. It's probably going to be tomorrow, so keep your head on a swivel. But we're going to go through the 8 games. I'm not going to tip my hand. I'm not going to tip my hand either way. I'm going to play it cool tonight. And then tomorrow, I bring down the hammer on the PATC community. Okay, And we got other stuff to talk about. Mel Tucker put out a response. Tonight we're going to be going through that just very, very quickly. And then the NC State athletic director made I think it's a pretty interesting comment, and it came out, it was an email on August 6th. Again, the Observer, a newspaper down in the Carolinas, I believe they did a FOIA on it, and they got what the North Carolina State Athletic Director said in realignment. Possible further realignment. Now, at first blush, it may not seem like much, but there's one little part that the North Carolina State Wolfpack Athletic Director, is one little part he said, and he didn't have to say it. And why did he say it? It got me very suspicious. So we're going to be going through that as well, her in the monologue. After we're done with the monologue, we're going to go to your comments, and then we're going to go to your phone calls. But I got to thank everybody for dropping on in. I appreciate it. James Foster, Gold Devils, Skull Ducky, what a weekend. Absolutely. Holy smokes. Bob Stacker, good evening. Greg, good evening to you, Bob. Appreciate you coming on in. Our web says, holy smokes. AMAC, howdy, y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Richard L. Mr. Colorado Buffalo is in the house. West Virginia guy. Your West Virginia, Pittsburgh prediction? I'm not giving it tonight, and I'm not going to give it away. But it is one of the 8 games that we're going to be picking this week against the spread. So buckle up, West Virginia guy. Buckle up and brace for PATC impact. JD Turtles in the house. Beat Virginia. Maryland, Virginia. Hey, Greg. Hey, JD. Nice to see you. Fight in Illini. Hello, Greg. Now Illinois has to play Penn State. Is that going to be one of the 8 games? Yeah, it's going to be one of the 8 games. We're going to be taking a look at Tim Bales. Let's do this thing. Let's do it. Hagen, we are indeed live. We are live. Randy Taylor, it's that time. It's that time. Kyle the Gold, Greg, go. Go, Kyle. Go, go, go. Bull Stacker. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Jose says, my money's on the Stanford Lawyers. Covering the spread versus Oregon State Lawyers of -40.5. Holy smokes. We're going to be talking about that pretty soon. Many new faces. Always new faces in the PATC chat. And I absolutely love it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and smash that like button. If you want to contribute to a donation to help us keep the lights on, if you want your comment to be posted as soon as possible, hit that $sign and put up a comment. Anything you want to put up, I appreciate it. Derek Marie, hello, everyone. Obsidian, I'm feeling restrained already. We're going to hit that right now. Tony, Jim Leonard is my number 1 for Michigan State. Possibly. I don't have him in my top 3. We did an episode 308 earlier today. It was early afternoon. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. We have the Michigan State Hot Board 1.0. 2.0 is going to be posted around October 5th or 6th when we believe Mel Tucker is going to be released from his job. We'll see what happens. Cameron B. Rock Chalk. Kansas over Illinois. Randy Taylor. Ola. Ooh, Steve. Mr. Bearcat is in the house. Buckshot Kid. Everybody's here. Holy smokes. Rick Olson. Hi from Portland. Hi to you, Rick. Jason. Wazoo, Oregon State should have voting rights and also all the Pac-12 assets. Woo! Lee, hey, Greg. Hey to you, Lee. Appreciate you coming on in. Clinton Moses. Holy smokes. Okay, let's get first the first story. But let me take a sip out of my Cloak and Dagger mug, and you can get one yourself. Just go to the link in the description box, the merchandise store, PATC merchandise. You can get a mug, a t-shirt, a hoodie, a trucker hat. Go check it out. Now, we're going to, yes, this was a victory for Oregon State and Washington State. A small victory, a short-term victory, a much-needed victory. However, and we'll get into it here, just give me a moment, and I don't know how this is going to play out. My fake lawyer's diploma, law degree diploma, isn't going to help me out here on this case. I can't tell you. But to me, it sounds like, and I poked around a little bit on this story, in reality, today, tomorrow, Wednesday, when that Pac-12 board meeting was all set up by George Kliavkoff, the day after that, both sides, Washington State and Oregon State, and the other Pac-12 schools or PAC schools, both of them contain veto power right now over the other. And I will explain. Let's get to it. Earlier, Pete Thamel, as he was reporting, the Oregon State, Washington State hearing for temporary restraining order is underway. At the heart is who has voting rights in the conference. In an exhibit is the Pac-12's letter to Colorado after that school went to the Big 12, and here it is. The letter states, now this is what, when Colorado left the conference, when they gave notice, the Pac-12 sent this letter to Colorado. The letter states, quote, under Section CB 2-3 of the Pac-12's Constitution and bylaws, Chancellor DiStefano and the Colorado's representation on the Pac-12's board of directors automatically ceases effective immediately. And Colorado no longer has the right to vote on any matter before the board. Now, I consider that very significant. I think a lot of people share my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Very, very significant. The end result of this meeting, and we're going to dig into it here. Pete Thamel later reports, the ruling for the temporary restraining order in the case against the Pac-12 has been granted. This means no Pac-12 Board of Directors meeting on Wednesday, 2 days from today. So Oregon State and Washington State were successful. Their restraining order was granted against the Pac-12. What does it mean? It means the following. The PAC schools outside of Washington and Oregon State cannot call for a directed board meeting and do any business at all. Not just when it comes to assets and how they're going to divvy up the assets, how they're going to possibly dissolve the conference officially. They can't even decide if they're going to put new carpet in the hallway across from the bathroom stall. And neither can Washington State and Oregon State. Nothing, the day-to-day work of the Pac-12 can happen. According to the judge's own statement, go ahead, day-to-day machinations, day-to-day operations of the PAC continues on until July 1st, 2024. But as right now, the only can move on things in which all the schools agree. All of them. So both factions, if you want to set it up in the factions, both have veto power over the other until this case of voting rights, which is going to affect the remaining assets, but the voting rights, until that is adjudicated in the courts, this is how the Pac-12 is going to be run. By complete consensus, there's not going to be 9 out of 12 vote passes something, or a 2-0 vote, Washington State and Oregon State agree with each other. This is purely, nothing can get done unless everybody agrees upon it. And then the rest of it, how the voting rights gets decided, it will be adjudicated in the courts. And then that's when things happen. So you have a short-term victory for Oregon State, Washington State. One of the problems is Washington State and Oregon State, they want this adjudicated now. They have to have a solid ruling now, because they want to implement all that Pac-12 network assets to the possible merger, reverse merger with the Mountain West Conference. So it's a victory, and I'm not going to call it a hollow victory at this point. It's a victory. It's a much needed victory for Washington State and Oregon State, but they need another victory real quick here. And I don't know. I haven't read any reports about when the possibility of this being adjudicated. Maybe you all can let me know in the chat or with a phone call later in the show. But that's how PATC is reading it. That's what we were told. It's a victory. It's a much needed victory. But Washington State and Oregon State still have some big hurdles left, and they need a decision quick. Time is not on the Cougars and Beavers' side. It's not on their side. That's why they've grown so impatient with the dithering of George Kliavkoff. So that's where we are. Bob Stacker, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate your continuous generosity to the show. Thoughts on Fox negotiating with conferences to start a new basketball tournament. Normally, I don't talk about college basketball. Of course, I follow it, but this is a college football show. But because it does have seemingly some possible ties to more consolidation in the college football world, in the college football space, I'll briefly discuss it, Bo Stacker, especially when you're generous and you donate to the channel. One of the offshoots, one of the effects of this is now that new basketball tournament would replace the NIT, most likely. So it's not replacing the NCAA tournament. Most likely, I got a feeling that it could spurn more of a NCAA national basketball tournament expansion, even more to include more schools. It's interesting what Fox is thinking about. is interesting. I don't know how long a legs it has. I'm skeptical. I'm not. I know people are taking a big jump on this, saying, "Oh, this means Fox is going to separate from ESPN. Fox is going to separate the teams from the NCAA tournament." I don't think so. This might be a Fox way of elbowing ESPN and all that stuff, but we'll see if it happens. If it happens, then we'll see what the next step is. But I think this is going to spurn even a bigger, going from 68 teams in the tournament to 90 something. It very well could happen. And this could be one of those things. It's an accelerant. This possibility of Fox bringing on schools that don't quite make the dance and having a tournament of their own. I'm not going to go way out there and say, "Oh, this means that the P5 schools are separating themselves, or the P6 in basketball are separating themselves from everybody else, and Fox is going to separate the Big Ten from everybody else." I don't think so. I do not think so. But thank you, Bob Stacker, for the super chat. I hope I answered your question as best I could. Now, let's get to, and we'll talk more. We'll take your comments and your questions and your phone calls later in the show. We'll talk about more of this basketball tournament that Fox is negotiating with its conferences, that be it, Big 12, Big 10, Mountain West. Also, a Big East, Big East at this point, right? But let's get to the games. The 8 games that we're going to select this week against the spread. We're not making our picks tonight. I'm just throwing them out there so you can let your mind marinate on the 8 games so you don't get caught flat-footed tomorrow, PATC community, when you vote. And then we're going to get to the North Carolina State Wolfpack Athletic Director, in which about 90% of you are going to say, "Greg, you are overreacting. Greg, you're doing it again. Greg, this is like when you post the Colorado Board of Regents stuff. Greg," well, we're going to post it because, again, this is not my first rodeo. And there was a part there is a segment, there's just a few words that North Carolina State Athletic Director said about realignment. And it struck me in a way that makes me, well, we're going to dig on this. We're going to dig. We'll keep poking and prodding. We believe Florida State in the first quarter of 2024 is going to make it known to the ACC that they want a settlement, that they want to get out of the conference, that they want a pathway, they want a process. First quarter 2024. We were told that on December 26, 2022. We reported to you all. That's what we think is going down. We'll take the L if it isn't going down, but that is still where this thing is flowing. According to PATC, not according to anybody else. But then again, we've given you the peek around the corner when other people were sleeping. And this North Carolina State, now you got to remember something. We have some dots of information, dots of intel, I call them. We put out some, we keep some close to our chest. And then when we see something in public, somebody says something that kind of lines up with what we believe to know over here, then the dots somehow start to connect. And that's how we did the Colorado story and every other story that we've broken over the years. So I'm going to get to it. And you guys are going to call me crazy. But that's okay. That's okay. That's why we have the YouTube channel. So you guys can call me a little nutso. Let's go to the first game. Not making selections tonight. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're looking at that tomorrow. We're just going to show the 8 games that we're all going to make a selection. The PATC community makes their selection by a vote on a live show tomorrow night. We'll put up the poll. You guys have about 30 seconds to vote. Penn State minus 14.5 at Illinois. The Nittany Lions coming off another big win. Illinois stubbed their toes. They lose to Kansas. They had a little bit of a comeback at the end of the game to make it look closer than it really was. 14.5. Illinois getting 14.5 at home. Is that too much? Is that too much? LSU at Mississippi State. Well. Very interesting. Will Rogers is putting up some big numbers for Mississippi State. However, they gave up a lot of yards in the air against Arizona. I'm not sure what was going on there. LSU, they're still hurting from that week 1 loss. LSU minus 9.5. At Mississippi State. That's a game that we're going to have to take, ladies and gentlemen. So buckle up. Kansas State at Missouri. When's the last time Kansas State slipped up? I can't even remember. The way they finished last year, the way they've started this year. And Missouri, they won a close game. Plus 4.5 at home. Is that enough points for the Missouri Tigers? Is Kansas State due for a letdown? They're not going to let down against Missouri. But they're not going to have an emotional letdown. But are they just due for things to go wrong, to go pear-shaped? They probably are. Anyways, we're taking that game. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. Minnesota at North Carolina. Minnesota at North Carolina. Oh, yeah, North Carolina minus 7.5. Oh, they should crush the Gophers. Well, I'm going to keep my... I'm not going to give you guys any hints or any clues who I'm taking in this game, but let me give you a name. Darius Taylor. True freshman. Running back. Gophers. That's all I'm going to say. Northwestern at Duke. Northwestern, they beat UTEP. Holy smokes, and they won big. They're getting 18.5 points against the Duke Blue Devils. That's a lot of points. Can Duke cover that game as well? Duke has covered all 3 of their games. 2 of the games. They're 2-0, and they're 2-0 against the spread. Can the Duke Blue Devils go 3-0 against the spread? That's a lot of points. That's a lot of points. Washington at Michigan State. There was no way. There was no chance that this wasn't going to be one of the great 8 games that we pick against the spread in week 3 here at Peek Around the Corner. The Washington Huskies. First 2 games, wow. Michigan State, first 2 games, pretty good. And suddenly, chaos. Mel Tucker. We did an episode on it. We talked about it in a live show. We'll talk about it a little bit tonight. Michigan State getting 16 points. Let me tell you something. Well, I know what? I'm not going to say anything more. I'm not going to say any more. But can Michigan State, can they rally? Can they rally behind their interim coach? Their old coach coming back, being an assistant? Can the Spartans rally against the hot and rocking Washington Huskies? bow down to Washington. We'll see who you pick tomorrow night. Backyard brawl, Pittsburgh at West Virginia. Do the Mountaineers get their revenge? Do they get their revenge from last year's defeat, heartbreaking defeat with the pick six, the ball being thrown and then the receiver going through his hands, bobbled it, pick six going the other way. Do the Mountaineers get their revenge? +1.5 at home. That line looks pretty juicy. It looks really good, but is it a trap? Is it a trap? We'll find out. We'll find out how you guys vote tomorrow night. And finally, the last game on the docket for week number 3 as PATC community goes against the spread. BYU Cougars at Arkansas. Slovis, he had a real good game on Saturday. He had a comeback game. I call that a comeback game. First week, not all that impressive. But BYU poured it on. But again, where is that BYU running game? It does not exist. What's going on at BYU? Let me know in the comments section. Let me know in the phone calls in Arkansas, KJ Jefferson. They're finally playing a team with a pulse. So how do you pick this game? Arkansas finally playing a team with a pulse. BYU, Slovis rocking and rolling in week 2. But man, where is the BYU Cougars running game? 9.5 points. Is that enough for the Razorbacks to cover? Those are your 8 games that we're going to be picking probably, most likely, tomorrow night against the spread. Again, your humble host, Greg the Heater, is 9-7. PATC community is 7-13. We both went 5-3 last week. Now let me see if there's any comments here. I don't want to miss any super chats. Hold on. Okay. Let's get to North Carolina State. And this comment from the athletic director. Again, be patient with me here. This is not going to this didn't cause any ripples. And it's not going to cause any ripples in the comments section. You guys are very smart people, right? But there's a piece in here in which he said something, the athletic director, which sort of ties into other stuff that we have been told here at Peek Around the Corner. Let's get to it right here, right now. Brian Murphy, North Carolina State Athletic Director Boo Corrigan, emailed to entire staff on August 6th in realignment. North Carolina State Athletic Director Boo Corrigan emailed the entire staff on August 6th. Now, August 6th, remember, that was 2 days after the August 4th, and August 4th is going to go down in history, where the Pac-12 imploded. It was chaos. Right? Hold on a second. With all the craziness surrounding the conference affiliation over the past weeks, I wanted to reach out and let everyone know the North Carolina State Athletics will be fine. At a time I'm having a hard time with my computer here. At a time You know what? Let me post it on the computer on my other monitor. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. This is important. I wanna serve this the way it needs to be served. Everybody give me a moment here. I gotta put it up on my other monitor. No, that's not working. Hold on. No, that's not working either. Something's going on here. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Okay, here we go. All right, I apologize everybody for that. A little bit of technical difficulties, and you know the host of this show is not very bright. This is what North Carolina State Athletic Director Boo Corrigan email to entire staff on August 6th. This is 2 days after the Pac-12 implosion. With all the craziness surrounding the conference affiliation over the past week, I wanted to reach out and let everyone know that North Carolina State athletics will be fine. Says missions have not changed. Okay? We're going to go through this little email here that he sent to the entire staff. With all the craziness surrounding conference affiliation over the past week, I wanted to reach out and let everyone know that North Carolina State athletics will be fine. At a time where we can all get distracted, our collective missions have not changed at all. We need to continue to strive to be the best North Carolina State athletic department we can be on a daily basis. The department with 2 national championships and 15 ACC championships in the past 4 years, the highest APR in our school history, all while keeping our student athletes' wants and needs at the top of our priorities. While things around us continue to change, the best we can do is push to reach higher levels. We will continue to monitor the landscape of college athletics and we'll keep you informed. Until then, continued success and progress to our fall sports. I look forward to seeing everyone soon. Be well. Go Pack. Now, many of you and probably all of you are saying, Greg, this is fine. He sent an email 2 days after the Pac-12 implosion. What are you getting to, Greg? What are you getting to? Is it the part where he says, we will continue to monitor the landscape of college athletics? Nah, everybody says that. Everybody says that. Of course, that's a throwaway line. That's an easy one to put into a text sent to your whole staff. What about the we need to continue to strive to be the best North Carolina State Athletic Department we can be on a daily basis? It's so important, right? The APR, that's your grades, that's your progress, that's all important. Is that what you're getting to, Greg? Nah, that's not what piqued my interest. Here's the part that piqued my interest. third paragraph down, while things around us continue to change, the best thing we can do is push to reach higher levels. We will continue to monitor the landscape of college athletics and will keep you informed. We'll keep you informed. North Carolina State Athletic Director Boo Kerrigan, talking to all of his athletic department staff, is saying we will continue basically to keep you informed. We will continue to monitor the landscape and will keep you informed. Now, again, a lot of you are saying, big deal, means nothing. We'll keep you informed. I can't go too deep in the weeds on this, but I will say this. We don't believe, we know at Peek Around the Corner, we know, we were told before this athletic director sent an email to his staff, there is at least one other athletic director within the ACC, not named Clemson, not named Florida State, not named North Carolina. One other athletic director sent an email to the staff, and it says, we will keep you informed. And it was different wording. It was, but the other parts was, we will keep you informed. Athletic directors inside the ACC dealing with their staff, they've been talking about this. They've been talking about where their schools fit in the further college football landscape. We got to do the best we got to do the best we can. We got to do the best we can. We got to be the most valued that we possibly can when something happens. But we'll keep you informed. Like, they have I'm probably going way too far out of my ski tips, but there isn't this belief that this conference holds together all the way into the 2030s. If you're an athletic director and your president and yourself have been talking, if you're an athletic director and you've been talking to other athletic directors with the schools with the same type of value as yours, and you believe that an implosion isn't going to happen, you believe that Florida State isn't going to successfully lead the conference somehow, some way in the next 4, 2, 3 years, you're not putting out a text message to the rest of your staff saying, oh yeah, the college landscape, yeah, we're looking at it and we're going to keep you informed. It's just, you don't put that in there if you think you've got 7 years before something happens, 6 years, 5 years, even 4 years. We'll keep you informed because they've had discussions about this previous, that continued, and future discussions around what their athletic department, what are they going to do, how are they going to keep their level, the value as highest as possible, because they believe something could very well happen. We will keep you informed is the exact language. Now, I cannot show you a document I can't even show you the email, I don't believe, or at least right now. I can't show you the date that I was given. This is like the hot bubble of action. We knew what's happening on May 7th, the first weekend. We told you the range of dates, but I couldn't give you what was going on when Colorado met the Big 12. We will keep you informed. The athletic director telling his staff, we will keep you informed. We will keep you the information we will not keep from you. We are strategizing. We're talking about it. We know this is a potential implosion or something big is going to change here. And you connect that dot. You have him saying that when I know what we know at Peek Around the Corner, we've kept it close to the vest. Someone else used the exact same language in communicating to their staff. And then, I'm sorry, but our Florida State Money Perch said first quarter 2024. I honestly don't believe something is going to happen here during the football season. But later on, maybe at the very end, possibly, but probably not, because Florida State's not going to want any distractions. I'm just, again, at Peek Around the Corner. We're trying to give you the best peek as possible. First quarter 2024. I don't know if Florida State's going to be successful. I don't know if the ACC is going to feel that they need to settle with Florida State with a payment plan to get out of the ACC. I don't know. Maybe it's best for all parties. I don't know. We're going to continue to poke and prod. But the action of Florida State, we believe, is happening in the first quarter 2024. And we believe that other people believe the same thing. And they're going to keep their staff informed. Not about something that's going to happen potentially 7 years from now, 6 years from now, 5 years from now, 4 years from now. They're keeping the staff informed because they got to be light on their feet. They got to expect what they cannot be blindsided. And so we're talking months. We're talking October, November, December, January, and suddenly something could pop. When I saw that statement, I had to try to keep my head on a swivel. I immediately communicated to the people that I communicate with, not all of them, but the people who know about this other communication that happened. The Observer, the newspaper down there at Carolina, does a great job at doing FOIAs. They keep grabbing information that is very important. They're doing a great job. Maybe I'll have to do a FOIA on a particular other university in the ACC because the athletic director used the exact same language. We will keep you informed. Okay, I'm going to get to your comments, to your phone calls. Tony, interesting schedule. Virginia Tech played Purdue on Saturday, and then they play Rutgers in New Jersey this coming Saturday. That is interesting. Very interesting. Virginia Tech took it on the chin against Purdue. I'm not a believer in the quarterback, and their running game has been stopped. Was stopped by Purdue Boilermakers. So I think they're going to have a tough time. I think the Hokies are going to have a tough time at Rutgers. And we said Rutgers their offense was going to be better this year. No question about it. Offensive coordinator Kirk Shiraka, this is what he does. He's going to elevate that offense. And Rutgers possibly could be on their way to a bowl game. Brett McMurphy at Action Network has Rutgers projected to be in a bowl game as of this morning when he released his new bowl projections. Hard to believe game day is going to Colorado this week. They're not doing the Colorado game though, right? They're just going there, correct? Oh, instead of, I don't. The Colorado State. You know what? I better not say anything because I don't believe Colorado State is the big game that they're showing. They're just going there for the pregame stuff. Correct? ESPN has the Colorado game. Fox does not yet. Yeah. Big Ten noon kickoff in Boulder. That's it. Thank you, Big Ten Ted. Appreciate it. There it is. So, big noon kickoff is going to be from Boulder, Colorado, because of all the excitement, energy. Colorado State, an in-state rival, going to Colorado. But Fox is not doing the game. Fox is getting as much juice out of Colorado and Deion Sanders as possible. In the ratings, holy smokes, Fox is making money, and that's what they care about. And Colorado is getting all this exposure. Man, oh man. Great to hear. Thank you, Big Ten Ted. Big Ten Ted, if you want some good, accurate information, go to Big Ten Ted's YouTube channel. He's the very best at breaking down all the Big Ten football games on a weekly basis. I steal his material on a weekly basis. So check it out. Check it out. They are airing the Penn State Illinois game. I don't want to talk too much about that game. I don't want to give it away. Never say never. Rule 1 of realignment. Rule 1 of realignment is realignment never sleeps. Realignment never sleeps. Richard says Florida State and Clemson will lead the ACC. That's for sure. But not to the Big Ten. They will end up in the SEC. You could be right, Richard. You could be absolutely correct. I think we're going to open up the phone lines here. We'll continue with your comments. Again, hit that $sign if you want to make sure I present your comment and we do a deep dive on it as quick as possible. The phone lines is 763-260-1333. You can see the ticker at the bottom of the screen. 763-260-1333. Talk about anything in college football.
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, the floor is yours. How you doing, good sir?
Oh, been busy at work, but just catching your show right now as I'm just kind of taking care of some work stuff right now.
All right.
Plowing through some administrative stuff, but I had to get back on the show. My new nickname for you, Greg, is Icy Hot.
Icy Hot.
Yeah. You go on cold and then you heat up later.
That's right. That's right.
So,
I hope it continues.
Greg, what's the thing? Ice works fast, heat makes it last.
Yeah.
But anyway, as far as BYU's offensive running game, it all comes down to the offensive line. Ever since Jeff Grimes left, that offensive line has just not been good. They had a great offensive line last year that just underperformed, and it was an ugly thing to see. And I think I can't remember his first. Daryl Funk, I think, is the offensive line coach, and guy's been around, but you got to make a change there. But until that happens, I don't think the run game's going to really get going. And defense probably is better with Jay Hill as that coordinator. But we just go through this. Right now I'm still trying to figure out if there's any way we can even get to a bowl game. But we'll sometimes like a blind squirrel finding an acorn. Sometimes you get lucky. So we'll wait and see.
9.5. Arkansas this week. What are you thinking against on the road at Arkansas? What do you think? What does the BYU Cougars need to do to pull the upset?
Well, first of all, they need to establish, they need to connect with the passing game, because I believe Arkansas secondary, is kind of had some problems, and I think Arkansas's main running back may or may not be healthy, but I think it's just containing the quarterback and getting pressure on him, and then offensively, it's just that offensive line has to buy time for Slovis to complete passes downfield. He's got some receivers that are coming back. They're slowly coming back from the injured reserve list. So still, I think it's a night game, so it's not in the middle of the day in the heat. So that's it's on ESPN2 in the night. So that's a good thing. And I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, sometimes they've surprised me before. They've gone into Tennessee and won. They've They've surprised me before. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a win, but I honestly think that I probably think Arkansas is going to cover the spread. I mean, I got to be realistic here. So I think Arkansas probably wins by 10, but 10 or more. But those are kind of the key to the games, and then we'll see what happens the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I'm not really impressed by Iowa State. That could be a win. West Virginia, the jury's still out on them. I think Oklahoma, although their schedule's easy and they'll be ranked, I still think that they're going to trip up somewhere along the line. I think Texas Tech, after seeing what happened in altitude up in Wyoming, they could have the same problem in Provo, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But that's why we love the game, right? We just hope and we keep an eye on it. But as far as the Pac-10 thing that's going on right now, ultimately, Oregon State and Washington State don't get to have their cake and eat it too. There's been some things, and Clownzano's out there been pushing that somehow they're going to get 100% of the revenue, and that they're going to get all the assets, none of the liabilities, which is complete BS. Clownzano has no clue what he's talking about. But I think at the end of the day, what happens, and the reason why this injunction was filed, is because they're really trying to force a settlement. They really need to figure out what cards they have in the deck to find out whether or not a Mountain West merger is going to work. I don't think it has anything to do with picking up new members. The Pac-12 is not going to pick and choose from Mountain West and the American who it wants. It's just not going to happen.
I don't think. Excuse me for interrupting. I don't think that's the plan, to pick and choose. I think the plan is to grab the Pac-12 network, grab all the assets or most you can, and then do a reverse merger. Gloria Nevarez comes in as commissioner of the new Pac-12, and you take all those Mountain West schools. You don't pick and choose.
And I think that's exactly their only way forward. But I think there will be a couple problems with that, because you have to remember that all the members, 10 members, paid into that network to build it up. And while they are in the conference right now, they have standing, and Bob Thompson pointed this out too, but while they're in the conference now, those 10 members can still bring a suit against the other two to try to recoup anything that they might lose on the Pac-12 networks. Any of the assets or feeds or whatnot. So I think at the end of the day, what you'll probably see is Oregon State and Washington State will probably end up with the brand, the history, the bowl ties, the NCAA tourney units, and they'll probably end up with that. I think that they're probably going to have to settle on something. They'll probably end up netting the assets and liabilities together and kind of clean the books up. And I think the other 10 may or may not get some money, and maybe Cal gets some money to kind of offset their situation. But I think it'll likely be settled. I think that this whole thing is basically trying to force a settlement, because there's no way this is getting litigated in 11 months, Greg, and there's no way anybody's going to do anything with them and do a TV deal with them while everything's under litigation. You don't know what it's going to be. So I mean, the other 10 want to probably run the clock out on this thing, but ultimately, I think Washington State and Oregon State are trying to force some sort of settlement. And hopefully it can get taken care of. I think the Mountain West, merging, doing a reverse merger, Navarro's taking over will be a great situation. And the one nice thing about that situation is the Mountain West already has a TV deal with Fox and CBS.
Yeah.
Yes, it runs till 2026, but it's a TV deal. Yeah. And there isn't a lot, there's only a few years left on it. So that really gives the conference, by adding Washington State and Oregon State, gives them some more valuable properties, makes them stronger at the negotiating table. And, maybe that next, in a couple of years when they come up, when they have to start renegotiating in 2025, they'll probably be able to get, what the American Conference is getting, probably, maybe they'll be able to get 10, 12 million a year instead of 4. So, I hope for the best for those schools, but, this is a messy situation. It's not as clear cut. I mean, dissolution and rights of board members versus CEO group, and, what state laws apply. The bylaws aren't very clear about dissolution.
But I think now I might be in the minority on this, but I'm only a fake lawyer on a college YouTube channel, okay, with my fake law diploma. Let me put it up on the screen here. It says here the Pac-12, they sent a letter to Colorado on the day they announced that they were leaving the conference in July 1st, 2024. The letter states, and I'm reading from Pete Thamel's tweet earlier today, under section CB 2-3 of the Pac-12's Constitution and Bylaws, Chancellor DeStefano and Colorado's representation on the Pac-12 Board of Directors, who are the ones who vote, by the way, automatically ceases effective immediately. And that, and Colorado no longer has the right to vote on any matter before the board. And that's how they vote.
Yeah, but there's a couple problems with that.
Okay.
Just because the agreement says that doesn't mean that will hold up against statutory law in the states and common law precedent in the states. In California, just looking at Westlaw today, the state provision says that all members have a vote in the right of dissolution of an organization. So, Washington State's laws, and there's a reason why they went to Washington State for the injunction, is a little bit more flexible. But the matter is, go ahead.
No, well, so the argument is that in case of dissolution, all these schools still have the ability to vote, but on every other issue, they don't have the ability to vote, because when the Pac-12 sent that letter, is that what the argument is?
That's what the argument is.
I think that's. Yeah, go ahead.
The vote to dissolve is fundamentally different than the vote for operational matters. The CEO group itself, those day-to-day operational matters, those are related to an organization as a going concern. To dissolve is related to cease to be a going concern, and there are two different things. And equity holders with nonprofits can be anyone who has a vote or a profits interest or a income interest in the organization. So one could argue they may not have a vote, but if they're sharing revenues and profits, they have an equity interest. So, that really comes down to it's a little bit more messy than people think. I still think that Washington State and Oregon State are in a better position, but I think that when this gets litigated, it's not a slam dunk situation that people think. There's, this will get litigated out, and it's gonna, it probably will get settled before it even goes to court, because no one wants, nobody wants stuff to go into discovery during litigation. But I would just argue that the right to dissolve is fundamentally different than day-to-day operations.
Is there a, now I don't know the answer to this. I know it's not in the ACC bylaws, is there a part of the Pac-12 bylaws that state this is how we dissolve the conference? Is there anything in there?
Paragraph.
Huh?
It's one paragraph, and it's not clear. All it says is if members dissolve, they just equally take the assets and go their separate ways.
Okay.
And the problem with that is, I want to just put a scenario in place. Let's say that there is a board resolution of 9 members. Let's just assume that this comes out of nowhere on one day. Okay? There's a board resolution and 9 members support that resolution. That presupposes, because it only takes 3/4 of a vote. So that presupposes that, no one's going to make that resolution unless they have a place to go, right? I mean, that's an intention to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So does anyone really think that if 9 of the 12 members, the minute they support that resolution, have they not expressed their intent to leave? And if they've lost that vote, does anyone believe that those 3 remaining members who didn't support the resolution should have all the power in deciding how?
But okay, I understand what you're saying, but that's not what happened. I mean, these schools left in different.
I don't know about that, because let's look at the date timeline. Within a 24-hour period of time, you had Arizona, Utah, ASU, Washington, Oregon, all left within a 24-hour period. Now, add on to that, we know the ACC was in negotiations with, or was talking to other schools, including Cal and Stanford. And we know the ACC met that Sunday to discuss expanding and adding Cal and Stanford. Now, do you think that the ACC would have that vote or discussion without having had at least a verbal commitment from Stanford or California that same day, or the day before on that Thursday when everything was falling apart? Does a verbal commitment constitute an intent to leave or notice to leave? I don't know. I mean, you got 7 out of the 9 schools in a 24-hour period of time, Greg, saying bye-bye.
Yeah.
If that is a factor of dissolution, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Obviously, I don't know either. I think
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I think Oregon State, Washington State, for me, I think it's a no-brainer for them to take a swing at this, because what do they got to lose? Yeah,
I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree.
And let's be clear, like when USC gave notice that they were leaving the conference, they were told, and I remember, and I don't have the article here, but I remember reading the article, USC knew that some of the money that could potentially would earn this year in NCAA, and UCLA, by the way, as well, in NCAA basketball credits and college football playoffs, whatever, they would not get all that money. That would be distributed among the other Pac-12. So it's already tied in. They already know they're giving up assets, and they were not allowed to go to any directive board meetings. I mean, USC and UCLA weren't even allowed to go to a dissolution vote among the board because they weren't invited to the meetings anymore. And then Colorado was told that they were not invited to the directive board meetings anymore. So I'm not a lawyer. I just pretend to be one on this YouTube channel. I
think it all comes down to on what rights exist for shareholders or members of organizations in matters of dissolution under state law, whether it's California or Washington. It doesn't matter what the bylaws or the internal precedent says. It matters what common law precedent and the statutory law says. If you have a bad agreement, just because you agree to a bad agreement doesn't mean it's binding. And, I think it's just
Okay.
sort of, we'll have to see. I mean, like I said, Attorney Dave, if he's listening, you can call in. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
You got it. Yeah, you're doing a fantastic job, and I appreciate it.
Think of it from the. I'm just trying to. I'll get off book on
Yep.
one more point. I'm just trying to look at this as what would the defense argue. Now, I'm not saying that they would win, but I'm just saying that I can see the case, the merits on both sides, and it would really come down to me. If I was the judge, it would come down to me as to first of all, what jurisdiction am I in? What state am I in? And also sort of what are the state laws and what are the applicable rules, what are the rights of, the equity holders. And Oregon State and Washington State very well may have a complete case. They very well may not, but I actually think that this will probably likely end in a settlement because nobody has 8 to 14 months to litigate this out. But that's it. So I'll leave you with that.
Got it. Beautiful. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate this fantastic phone call. You brought a lot to the table, a lot to discuss, a lot to think about. And again, of course, we're going to follow this story as closely as possible. We go where the story goes, and this is fascinating. Fascinating to watch.
Oh, I agree, and I'm just spitballing, so
Yep.
I can completely be wrong, and I'll take the L on it, folks.
Got it.
But I'm just thinking out loud. So
Got it.
Take care, everyone.
Beautiful, man. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Call from
Moen Vision, Mr. Buckeye. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, Greg, I tend to agree with Ryan. I do think this gets settled. There's some monetary settlement. I would just tack on that California is a communal asset state. So anything that's a communal asset has to get divided evenly. The PAC offices are in California, so California law is going to supersede whatever's happening in Washington State. I mean, Washington's more than welcome to put in a temporary restraining order to prevent that vote from happening. But that vote can happen at some point. Second point I would make is USC and Colorado were immediately told they weren't members. Well, they never challenged it, Greg. If they challenged it, they'd have probably had a pretty good case to say, yeah, we can still, while we're in the conference, participate in conference business.
Okay, I'm going to call a timeout here. Hold on. These bylaws, they're not written in crayon in a piece of in a coloring book. They mean something. They got to mean something. The bylaws, one of the major components of the bylaws is it sets the guardrails on how the conference distributes money. If you are a withdrawal member, if you're a member who's done something incredibly wrong, money's not going to be no money, or it's not as much money is going to be distributed to you from the conference. The money flows from the networks, the sponsors, whatever, to the conference, and then the conference distributes the money to the schools. And the bylaws are the guardrails. So there's millions and millions and millions of dollars every year flowing through the conference, distributed per the bylaws. So to say that, none of these, when they say in the bylaws, you are not a voting member anymore. You cannot go to the directors' board meetings anymore. I mean, that's got to mean something. Or am I off my rocker, Buckeye?
Well, where is the Pac-12 headquarters at, Greg?
Oh, I don't. Well, it was in San Francisco. I don't know where they moved it.
It's in Oakland, I believe now. But
Okay,
just the point
somewhere
is,
around there.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's in California.
Got it. Yep.
So these things are going to fall under California law. California law is, like I said, a communal asset.
Okay.
So any assets that belong to the conference have to be divided evenly. So Oregon State and Washington State are going to get their fair share. Nobody's saying that they're going to take the fair share away from Washington State or Oregon State. The point you're making that Colorado and USC and UCLA were told that they couldn't be members, Well, that's in the bylaws, but that's also never been challenged because USC, UCLA didn't care. They were planning to go to the Big Ten and be the only teams in the Big Ten. Colorado was planning to go to the Big 12 and probably planning they were going to be the only team in the Big 12, so there was no need at that point to challenge it. Now there's a point for them to challenge it and go, whoa, 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 we've contributed to this conference. We're still members of this conference until this date. We should have rights as conference members, regardless of where we're going.
They do have rights. They do have rights as conference members. But they don't have voting rights. They don't have voting rights. They're still getting money.
No, but when those rights come into the point where it's Oregon State and Washington State, they do have rights. I mean, whether or not they have,
you're going in and out of your phone.
That's going to be.
You're going in and out, Buckeye.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, let's try it again. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I said if Oregon State and Washington State are putting forth that they own everything to the Pac-12, the other 10 schools still have rights. They still have rights to those assets. As to dissolving the conference, that's where the litigation begins.
Yeah.
But those schools still have rights. Just because you have let it be known that we're joining the Big Ten Conference in 2024 does not mean you're absolutely stripped of everything that you currently have in the PAC. It doesn't.
You still have to pay the liabilities, right? You can't get out. You can't get out of that. You're still going to have to fork over a certain amount of money for your Comcast. You're still getting some money from the Pac-12 in distribution, so you have rights. It's just that, and I'm in my next show, I guess I'm going to have to put up the Pac-12 bylaws, specific sections of it. But it's pretty clear that you lose your voting rights when you withdraw as a school, and that letter that the Pac-12 sent to Colorado saying, yeah, you're out of luck. You don't have any votes anymore. You're not a voting member anymore. Those are Pac-12's own words to Colorado. So it's fascinating.
No, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that, Greg. I've seen the bylaw you're referring to.
Yep.
There's no argument on that bylaw.
Yeah.
What Washington State and Oregon State want is to take all the assets that belong to the Pac-12 for themselves.
Well, because they're the only members of the Pac-12.
They don't.
Yeah. I got what you're saying.
They're not the only members.
You're right. They're not the
until
only
that
members.
Date, there are other members.
Yes.
So that has to be equally. So what's probably going to happen is they're going to have to sell the Pac-12 network. It'll be divided into 12 shares. They'll have to sell all of the equipment, their offices, et cetera, all the physical assets. Now, if Oregon State and Washington State want to keep the name, the PAC name, they should absolutely be allowed to do that. I have no problem with them doing that. But if they said that this somehow is going to get them 100% control of the Pac-12 network, that's simply not going to happen. There's simply nothing in the bylaws that says you can keep stuff like that. I mean, nothing in common law that says you can keep communal assets like that. If your wife leaves you can't just say, well, you left, I keep everything. I wish it worked that way. Trust me, I really wish it worked that way. It doesn't work that way. So,
okay. All right.
That's just a point I would make out there. As far as ACC expansion, Florida State, North Carolina are Big Ten schools.
Ooh.
Florida State does not bring up research 15 times in that Board of Trustees meeting if they plan to join the SEC. They're planning to join the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And we will welcome them and treat them as a jewel in the cell.
Yeah.
So look forward to Ohio State versus Florida State playing some Tar Heels.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Buckeye. Your phone's going out again. I appreciate the phone call.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. People are setting me straight here. Ryan Thomas and Monovision. Another person setting me straight. Chris Kenny in the chat. Greg said Coach Prime was doing too much, too fast, too soon, and predicted 2 wins. Too many wins, too fast is what he must have meant. Right, Greg? Well, in the last live show, we started the show, and I said, Peek Around the Corner is taking a big, fat L. And I went through my speech. Colorado did too much, too fast with the roster flip and da-da-da-da-da, and we were wrong. I was wrong. I started the last live show with that declaration. We took, and we're not the only ones, but we took the big, big fat L from the fat guy from Minnesota. Obviously, what they've done is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. Sean Lewis, the offensive coordinator, Deion Sanders, even the defense are getting more juice than I ever thought they would. Dylan Edwards is a beast. And, of course, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders is absolutely legit. I took the L on that, Chris Kenny. I will continue to take the L on that for the rest of the year. Thanks you for commenting. Appreciate it. Tony. And now Tony's coming at me with, Greg, let me set you straight, 10-2 Gophers, because I predicted them at 6-6. People are coming at me in every way tonight. Deion Sanders, Colorado, the Gophers are doing better. And then this case, I believe Washington State and Oregon State have a pretty strong case, but people are going at me all over the place. Do you believe now? I believe. I believe. Nothing's impossible, but the Colorado Buffalo schedule looks rough. Jim Choi. Pflugar took the L on Coach Prime. Yes, I did it. I'll continue to do it on and on and on and on and on. Once in a while, I might have a W. We'll see this. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Jim Choi, in private, Jonathan Smith told the school that all coaches and about 25 players are gone if Oregon State isn't a P5 next year.
Call from
Crab cakes and football.
Crab cakes and football. Please save me. Everybody's going after me tonight. What's going on, Maryland? Maryland, Virginia? Is that the game this week for the Terrapins?
Oh, that's what we were looking forward to so badly that we got off to a bad start last week.
Oh,
last
yes.
Sunday.
Yeah, you were downing versus Charlotte.
Yeah, but I knew we'd bounce back, but still, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But I had a couple of things to say. First off, I made the SC3 trifecta. I got 2 out of the 3 right. So I wanted to make sure. I know people were like, "Oh, I'll take that bet."
Yeah.
They would have beat me on the Tulane bet because they actually lost to Ole Miss. But I got the Texas right and I got the Miami right. And so that I like a little bragging rights every now and then. I don't very rarely ever get it that often. Second, this thing with Oregon State and Washington State. I mean, if they've already kicked members out of the conference, didn't they already set the precedent for that? If they did set the precedent for that, then how can a court intervene and still give out the monies if the precedent's already been set that they've done kicked members out of the conference like Colorado and the others?
I don't know, man. We have
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah,
I'm not a lawyer.
well,
I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just wondering.
I mean, we have diverse opinions on this show, and it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. I think we can all agree that one of the disadvantages that Oregon State and Washington State has is time, because they need this to be adjudicated as quick as possible for it to have any value to them. So talk about a settlement between Washington State and Oregon State, cut the baby in half, so to speak. That's probably in play, right? That's probably what's going to happen because the timing of this doesn't favor Oregon State and Washington State.
Do you think that the other 10 even worry about it? They're already off to a new conference. They've already lost in the courts. Why waste?
Well, they're
by
worried
the time
about
it even gets settled. By the time it gets settled, it's going to be the new year anyway.
No, they're worried about it. That's why they were trying to potentially dissolve the conference to make sure they get even part of the assets for the Pac-12 network. You know, like the University of California, Berkeley, they're in debt big time, right? They need every little dime they're going to get out of this deal, so they want part of the assets of the Pac-12 and many other schools in the Pac-12 as well. So they are worried about it. But, you know, Washington State and Oregon State, they got a small victory today, a much-needed victory, but they're going to have to get another victory real soon for it really be something of incredible value for those two schools and have a chance to do a reverse merger with the Mountain West and its schools and its commissioner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because, that's just a very intriguing thing. Because I didn't know that even two members alone could still make a conference. Yeah, now with 10 gone, I'd figured it automatically would dissolve, but apparently not. So
no, it's not. It's not automatically dissolved. In fact, according to the NCAA rules, they can get a grace period of up to 2 years being a small little conference. So there's a lot of things at play, a lot of things. What supersedes the other? We'll find out really short. I think we're going to find out here quickly that a settlement is in play, but we'll see.
Do you know when Petiti is supposed to come out with his new schedule for 18 games? He already said he's keeping a Flex Protect Plus, but I would like to know how he's going to do that.
Yeah, I think now I saw a report somewhere that Oregon and Washington are going to be permanent rivals to each other. Okay? And I think that's the only permanent rival both those schools are going to have. I don't even think they're going to have UCLA and USC as part of Washington's permanent rival list. We'll see. We'll find out. Okay? I'm not sure on that. But we know for sure Oregon and Washington are going to be permanent rivals. Of course, I was told this. I expect this to be released pretty soon. They got to get this out.
Right.
There's a lot of booster clubs. There's a lot of people that need to make plans for next year. Road trips and hotels. And so this should be done within the month of September. So we should expect it here pretty quick.
All right. I knew that you had more insight on the Big Ten, so I figured maybe you may have heard something. So, All right. Well, that's the only thing I really needed to. I wanted to brag a little bit because I actually got two of them right.
Got it. And, beautiful.
I'm very rarely right, so I take it when I get it. And so, all right, man.
All right. Thank you, Crab Cakes and Football. All
right, ready.
Mr. Terrapin. Beautiful. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button if you're liking, if you're enjoying this college football content. Share this video word of mouth to your friends and family. And if you want to donate to the channel, help us keep the lights on, hit the $sign. We'll get to your comments as soon as possible. Greg, must-do watch party, Ducks and the Buffs. We're going to have to see what happens here. We are dealing with a lot of things here in the family. My father is going into his last days. Actually, he's being moved out of the house tomorrow afternoon, going into a hospice care, just because the medication part of it is so challenging now. Trying to keep the pain away from him as much as possible. So it's a continuous, injection of morphine and everything as he spends his last couple of days here. So I was going to go to Grand Marais and the border of Canada and Minnesota to celebrate my friend's very good friend Daniel Leonard and his fiancee Michelle at their wedding. And that was going to be Saturday. So I already had canceled all the watch parties for this weekend. I couldn't do it last Saturday either. But we had to, me and the little general, we had to cancel going to the wedding for Saturday, even though, funerals and stuff won't happen this week. But still, it's just, I'm too exhausted. I can't make the trip. I can't even drive. Haven't been able to sleep. So we're going to not go up to Grand Marais now. Does that mean I can do a watch party? Can I do a couple of them this weekend? It's really hard to know. I'm leaning against it. But, what is true? Now, I might have been wrong about everything I've said tonight on this live show. Right? But one of the things is true is this show is very therapeutic for myself and the little general. So we, again, appreciate you all for participating in the YouTube channel. Throughout this last year, it's been a challenge because my father and this and everything else that me and the wife do, I've been working 20-hour days for months and months and months and months and months and over a year. So one of the things, the main thing, besides my creator and my wife, one of the things that have gotten me through this is all of you participating and coming in to the chat and slicing it up with me with your phone calls and your comments, and I do appreciate it. So I might have to come and do a crazy watch party. Gophers in North Carolina, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN. I think the game's on ESPN. It's either North Carolina, Minnesota, ESPN, or Oklahoma versus Tulsa. I think Disney will select the North Carolina Gopher game, but I'm not sure. Either way, I think we're going to do a watch party. We'll try to do a watch party for that game. But again, a lot of it has to do with where we're at in the family and where I'm at when it comes to sleeping and all that stuff. Thank you, Stephen McNeely. Appreciate it. I appreciate your generosity to this channel. Bless you and your family, Greg. Thank you so very much. And once again, like I said in our last live show, when my father breathes his last breath, going to be releasing a special episode in dedication to him. So keep your head on a swivel. Watch for that special episode to drop. Dedication to Dad. Appreciate it. Thank you, Skull Ducky. Appreciate it, Rick Olson. Appreciate it, Richard. Thank you so very much. So, thank you, Sean. It's on ESPN. It's been announced. Thank you, Tony. Thank you for keeping me on my toes, Tony. 10-2 Gophers going to be on ESPN against North Carolina. Darius Taylor, Tony. If Darius Taylor can emerge like he did last Saturday, the true freshman 4-star big-time running back out of the state of Michigan, if he can be that Mo Ibrahim with a little bit of extra juice, well, him and the Greek Rifle and all those wide receivers and that great defense, I don't know. Maybe my 6-6 was a really bad prediction. And again, I'm going to have to take another big fat L. And that one, I will be very happy to do so if it happens. Jim Troy, Flugard, thank you for being the information to all of us during the troubling times, brother. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate those kind words so very much. And again, Stephen, I appreciate your generosity so very much. Thank you, Richard. We're always with you, Greg. You're the man. Thank you so very much. Mountain West Commish says all options are open. And AAR, look, the Mountain West Commissioner, Navarez, she would like this case to be quickly adjudicated, right? They want to know how much of the assets does Oregon State, Washington State get. So, can the Pac-12, if it's a conference, if it remains a conference, if you can remain a conference, if the other schools don't have a voting right to dissolve the conference, if the NCAA lets you be a conference, give you a grace period, then Washington State and Oregon State can flip that Pac-12 network, get the CBS and Fox media contract for the Mountain West to go include them, and they all can join the Pac-12, and none of those Mountain West schools have to pay an exit fee, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. The pathway is there. It's fascinating. But man, oh man, oh man, Gloria Navarez, the commissioner of the Mountain West Conference, and everybody else, everybody on the side of Washington State and Oregon State, they need this to be adjudicated real quick for any of these possibilities to happen. Row the family boat. Good job, Greg. Thank you, Rick. My Drake May voodoo doll has pins in his throwing arm. Look, I watch highlights. I'm going to watch more of the North Carolina Appalachian State last Saturday. North Carolina, it took 2 overtimes for them to beat Appalachian State in North Carolina, and that's where Minnesota's going. And that North Carolina secondary, they look slow. We'll see what the Greek rifle, if he can take advantage of that. But again, we shall see. We're going to lock it up here. We've been on the air for an hour and a half. We appreciate all your phone calls, all your donations, all your great comments. Week 3 is coming up. You've got the 8 games. Let it marinate, ladies and gentlemen. Let it marinate. Penn State, Illinois, LSU, Mississippi State, Kansas State, Missouri, Minnesota at North Carolina, Northwestern at Duke, Washington at Michigan State, Pittsburgh at West Virginia, the backyard brawl, BYU at Arkansas. Buckle up. Those are the 8 games that you are going to vote on tomorrow. So let it marinate. Figure it out. And let's keep our hot streak going as we both went 5-3 last week. Until next time, and it's going to be soon. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.